what time is it? Your show. Yeah, what time is it? Your show. Yeah, what time is it? Your show. Yeah, he's back from the dead. Your show. Putting it on the map, yeah. Saskatoon. Right next to New York. New York. Yeah, what show, yeah. Your show. What time is it? Your show. Yeah, time to talk some shit, yeah. Your show.
You've tuned in, yeah?
Yeah, von Maggie. Bark, bark, wolf, wolf, who wants a treat, yeah. Keep listening.
Oh, sorry. Didn't see you there. Just drinking some of my Raging Bull One Bad Whiskey. One Bad Sun Whiskey. Great stuff. Don't know, I've never tried it, but I'm sure it's great because it's made by One Bad Sun, and everything made by One Bad Sun is great. Welcome to your show here on the Dufferin Avenue Media Network. This is episode 162, and so far this is only the second full episode that Gary has missed. And even though he's missing this episode, he's not here. He's still going to be here for 50 minutes of the show. We have a fantastic pre-tape coming up later with our 3-hall public house guest. And, Gary likes to make up categories that we're number one in. And I was thinking, I'm not going to do that because I don't have any good, categories that we're number one in. But today we're number one in the category that has a co-host that pays basically all of the bills, that likes to run away right before the show starts and is to be bribed with little treats. So, Maggie, what do I got here? Maggie Cam for our great friends over at Pet Planet on 8th Street. I see we got the Fluffy Butt edition. Maggie really likes to do this with the Maggie Cam. She likes to tease us a little bit. I don't have any more. What do you want? Come on, Maggie. I don't have. There we go. Come on, let's see it. There we go. She knows what to do. There we go. She's locked in. She's a little bit out of sorts today because Gary's not here. And great Maggie Cam for our great friends over at Pet Planet on 8th Street, Mike and Rochelle. And if you go after hours, Kristen, Shar, or Chris will take great care of you. So as you keep mentioning, Gary is away today, and we can get back to the main game. Gary is away today. The reason he's away is the Sotner Concrete Services owner, I guess Sotner himself, is having a American Thanksgiving party sort of thing, where they all get together and watch NFL football games. And we will be checking in with Gary later for an update on said football games, so stay tuned for that. So we're going to go ahead and run that previously recorded segment that I just mentioned. We're going to check in with the 3-hall public house guests. Every Wednesday, I believe it is, we get a different guest in here, and they'll be performing at the 3-hall public house. And this one will be on December 3rd. So be sure to go there and check them out, support them. So we'll run that previously recorded segment now.
One of the best parts of Wednesdays around here is we get to showcase the latest band or musician coming through to the 3-hall public house thanks to our friends with Bloom Entertainment. And we have a very good one today. This is different from everything else. Introduce yourself and tell us who you are, young lady.
I love the young lady.
I call him how I sees him.
My name is Patti Fedro.
Yes.
I have been known by other names in the past. So I had a singing name for a long time called Patti Layne.
Yes, you did.
But I've decided now. Anyway, I'm a singer-songwriter, and
I know it's hard to do. That's why I always put it on the person that I'm talking to, because I could say anything, and none of it would have the same effect as you telling us all who you are yourself, because I could leave a lot of stuff out. So I like to make sure, also with names too, because that Fedro, that one scared me. That was hard. I was like, I'll let her say it first. That's one of my little tricks I like to do is, let them say it so I know exactly how to pronounce it.
well, sometimes, my grandpa came over from Russia.
Oh, wow.
And they were German Mennonites, so they were basically escaping.
Yeah.
And when they got to, so I think it was Fédéral before.
Oh, okay.
There was a couple extra letters in there, but when they got to port, they had to shorten it and make
Change
it
it and all
easier.
that stuff.
So
Yeah.
most people think it's French because it looks sort of French the way it is.
And
now.
with your French background, right?
No, I lived in France.
Yes,
for a long
you're not
time.
actually
Yeah.
French. Okay, well, let's get into that because this is really, really interesting to me. So, Patti Layne had quite a run, it looks like, in the music biz as a whole.
Not bad. I had a good run.
Not
yeah.
bad. I guess, you know what, that's a great point. It sort of depends how you look at it, too, right? Because you got to see the world, you got to do a million amazing things while doing something you love.
Yeah, although it was interspersed with other things. So basically grew up in Saskatchewan when I was, I basically lived in Kelowna for a bit,
Okay.
got into a car accident, came back here, ended up back in Vancouver, and I was a DJ for about 3 years.
Radio?
It was no more club.
Oh, like
Yeah.
an act. Okay,
Yeah.
here we go. Well, that's fun.
It was fun, yeah. It was.
DJing like in clubs.
I was one of the first female DJs, I believe.
That's amazing. I love that.
Well, one day I was just in a club and there was a lady DJ that was from England playing at the club. And I said to the guy sitting there, who I didn't know, do you think that's difficult? And he said, I can teach you. I've got a club. So he taught me, and I had the bad shift, which was Monday to Wednesday, when nobody came
The
in
slow
the club.
one, yeah, of course. You gotta get your reps in.
But you know, I learned on the job, sort of thing, and then I was a DJ at a place called Mulvaney's, which was a restaurant nightclub where lots of famous people went to it, and it was in Granville Island before anything was in.
Before it
Granville
got
Island.
popular.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So I did that for about 3 years, loved it. And while I was there, I got sort of discovered as a model. So that's how I ended up in France.
Here we go, buckle up. This is where it gets interesting.
So first,
So now you're a DJ/model in France.
no, I'm just a model, but in Italy first.
Of course.
Because
Forgot
when I
about
got
Italy.
to France, I didn't have any proper photos. So they sent me to France, and then or to Italy first to get photos.
It's a quick photo shoot in Italy, real quick.
Yeah, but it ended up being 3 years.
Wow.
And I had lots of fun when I was there.
No kidding. That sounds incredible.
Yeah, and had a bit of a rock and roll lifestyle at that point. And I sang at parties and things like that. So everyone was saying to me, you should do something about this. You should. So I ended up meeting some people that had record people connections. They don't say records anymore.
I'm trying to bring
You know
that.
what I mean?
I'm trying to bring that back, by the way, because I hate how we're losing this connection with all the cool, lingo we used with music.
Yeah.
It's all just sort of disappearing. So I'm always trying to bring stuff like that back. So I always use record too, just so you
Yeah.
know.
Okay. Good. Just for those of you who don't know what that is,
Yes, it's an album.
it's an album.
They don't make them anymore.
No. And so I had some very good songwriters, French songwriters, and they told me I should sing in French. I couldn't speak French when I got
This is
there
So interesting. to me.
because I skipped out of all my French classes.
French is hard.
Yeah.
I took French in elementary school at John Lake School. Shout out to Miss Zook was our teacher, and I was so bad at it that for our grade 8 year, for the first, I think 2 months, we had detention in French class for all of our recesses because we were so bad. She literally told the parents, these kids, there's 3 of us, I think. She's like, these kids aren't trying. They don't respect the French language and all these things. And for me, it was just, I was in grade 8 and it was too hard. I didn't understand it. And 6 and 7, I made it through. Still didn't learn anything and didn't understand in grade 8 to the point where we got punished for it. It's a really hard language.
Yeah. Well, it's not. I'll come.
Here we go.
It'll come
Yes.
full circle because I'm going to talk about something
Perfect.
to do with that later.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it was. I skipped out of my classes and I learned how to say "je ne sais pas," which I could answer any question with, I don't know.
I don't know.
Right?
Yeah, I can't say your language. I don't
Yeah.
understand what's being
Yeah.
said. Yeah.
So anyway, when I got to France, I couldn't speak any French. I
Like,
got
how scary is that?
it was
that
a bit
horrifies
scary
me.
because when I got there, the agency picked me up at the airport, and it was a weekend. So they dropped me off at this little B&B where I was going to be staying, and they said, "See you Monday," and I was by myself.
Okay.
And didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
So,
What do you do?
Yeah. So it was an interesting weekend full of discovery and fear. And but I ended up, I thought, okay, I could see the Eiffel Tower from where I was. So I thought, if I go there, I'll find some people who can speak English.
Oh yeah.
So I did that, and then
Just to be in that mindset too is like, where can I go to talk to someone who speaks my language? Probably like one of the most recognizable monuments on earth.
yeah,
so smart,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, it was
Very, very smart.
It was fun. And so I met some Americans, and they were staying with a French family, so it was great. It was a great entrance
Yeah,
into
you sort of have your own
the culture.
translators right there.
Yeah,
Very
exactly.
cool.
So then, anyway, fast forward, I lived in France for about 10 years, mostly in Paris, and I was very lucky. I got a record deal or album deal. I
Signed
got
to a
signed,
label,
yeah.
yes. That's the one.
Quite quickly, and so there was different songwriters writing songs for me. So the first
That's so cool.
single that came out, I was going to say 45.
Again, all of these are real things, I promise you.
The first single that came out was called Une espèce de Canadienne, which it means a kind of Canadian. And so it was written about me, for me to sing. And the guy that wrote it, his name was Didier Barbelivien, and he's one of the top songwriters in France. And at that time, he was the number one songwriter.
So this is like a huge honor to have this guy working with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And actually all the people that I mean, there was one guy who used to write for Edith Piaf. Like, they were big songwriters. And I was just, floating along and kind of not even, just going along with it.
Yeah, you're just going with the flow, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're just like wide-eyed, like, is this really happening? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like there would be a lot of that. So when this is all happening, is anyone back home, keeping up with you? Like, do people know what you're doing over there?
Oh, yeah. I used to write postcards to people. I had,
There we go.
at one point, 70 people I was writing postcards to, which
Like a fan club or just like family and friends?
just family and friends.
Holy cow.
Because, so a few people probably didn't think that was very nice because they were closer friends or family. So I apologize to those people for the, having fun.
Yeah, it's not as personable as they would want.
No.
Yeah. But again, you're doing that for 70 people. Like, that's a lot of people that you have
Yeah,
to...
it did. I mean,
Right?
after a bit, it went down. The list went down, dwindled
Of
quite
course.
quickly.
And as you start to, go up too, right? You have less time to...
Yeah.
So it's the way she goes.
Yeah, so I mean, I was lucky. I wrote. I didn't write anything at this point. Well, I had always written, I have always written songs and stories since I was very young.
Yeah.
And in fact, people used to trade in school, and when I was in high
Oh,
school,
boy.
I used to. I had tons of them in my locker, and I never had a pen or a pencil, so I was always borrowing a pencil. And they'd say, "Give me a story, and I'll give you." So they would hand in the story, they'd rewrite it.
Incredible. So man, like, just thinking about all the different ways people get into whatever it is they find a passion for, to have something as simple as that, like just a need, and to serve that need, you do something, and then that something turns into all of this.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy. You just start doing that because, you needed a pen or a pencil, and now you got lyrics all over the place, and everyone's like, man, have you seen Patti's story? Like, you know what I mean? To have
Yeah.
a natural organic growth like that so early without knowing it.
Yeah, without knowing it. I mean, I just liked writing stories.
that's
and
what you
and,
did.
And most of them were pretty dark at that point.
Well, I guess high school, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it can go that way.
Yeah. Anyway, so back to France.
Yes.
So I was there as I said, first I was in Italy for 3 years, modeling. But unfortunately, there's so much good food in Italy. I ate most of it, and I gained quite a lot of
Good
weight.
for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. That's what a normal person should be doing in Italy.
In Italy, of
Yes.
course. It is pretty
So-
much the best food in the world.
So you're enjoying yourself, but the model agencies are like, hey, come on now, Patti.
Yeah.
Let's hold back a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not my fault. It's Italian food, dude.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm in there.
exactly. So basically, at one point, I thought, well, I can be any weight and be a singer.
That's
and
right.
because I was singing at parties or whatever, and like I said, I got to France, and some
started
of the
making
people I
connections.
knew from Italy, from my travels in Italy, they introduced me to these people who, anyway, I ended up getting a record deal.
So cool.
And then so over did a lot of TV shows, and traveled to, because the French language, my French got better.
That's what I was going to ask. If
Yeah.
you're doing all those things, you have to learn the language a little bit, right?
Yeah, and I learned it on the street basically.
Yeah, as you went.
And when I was singing, I didn't even know what I was singing.
I wanted to ask that too.
Yeah.
Like, how hard is it to sing a song without knowing what the words mean?
It can be hard, this is back in the day when people went into like big studios and
yeah.
spent a lot of money, and you were in there for quite a long time. And
A lot of pressure.
a lot of pressure, and so they'd be, I'd be pronouncing a word wrong, like instead of saying "u," I would like "ooh," which changes the word or whatever.
So tedious.
And then
those
you would just
tiny
get a
things.
block. I'd be in there and can't do it right. So you can hear the accent if you listen to the songs on that album. Anyway, did that album, and it was like orchestration and everything. There was no computers.
Yeah, a lot
those
going,
days.
a lot of real music going
Yeah,
in there.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was really amazing. I'm so happy I had that experience as well. Anyway,
And that was your start. That was like your first one, your
Yeah.
first sort of album.
yeah, and so the first single that came off of that did really well. The night before, I did a really big TV show, and Julio Iglesias was on this show, and so was Frida from ABBA. There was a few quite famous people, either in Europe or the world.
Like world famous people on this show that you're on.
Yeah. And so it was I remember, and it was live. So I had to sing the song live. And basically after that show, the next day, my sales, the record sales, which were almost non-existent before that, sort of were timed. I can't remember what the
Yeah.
number was, but
You were
they-
discovered.
Yeah.
People found you and they went to your music because of that.
Yeah, because of that show. And then after that, I did lots of shows and did lots of singles. And then I tried my hand in English because I really wanted to sing in English.
Well,
but
yeah, that's the dream, right?
but they didn't want me to sing in English because they liked my accent or whatever. And then
So if you wanted to, they would just say no? Like, did you ever ask, say, hey, can I do some of this in English?
they're very controlling, the record companies.
They let
in
you know
those
without
days.
letting you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And you didn't always get your own way.
Yeah.
In fact,
Hey, we love your
rarely.
we love your ideas. We'll put them on the back burner. Now do what we told you.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
And, I thought, well, I was grateful that I was getting
Yeah.
the record deal and all that. So I didn't want to,
And that, ladies and gentlemen, that still remains in the music business to this day. That whole, we need to control every single thing that you do.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's one of the things that still are around,
it's true.
unlike all the other good things that we long for.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
so true.
And
So they're putting the pressure on you. They're saying, no English singing for you. You keep doing this. This is what we pay you for. This is what we like. Get back to
I
work.
mean, they were doing it in a sort of more manipulative, nice way. But yeah.
Yeah, it's like one of the best qualities you can have, not just as a musician, but as a human being, is being able to see through the bullshit. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
so often this world, even to this day, like this goes all the way back. It's just you have to be able to stick up for yourself and to chase your own dreams, and not that anyone, like I was a radio host forever and I didn't get to chase a single dream because they kept trying to make me do things that I know didn't work. And I knew I was successful doing it this way, but they always wanted it this way, to the point where we just parted ways.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't see what I was doing and I couldn't do what they wanted.
Yeah. No, exactly.
it can
And
go
the
that
same
way.
thing even with song choices, you know, I would
Yeah.
say, well, I think I really like this song. I really would like to do that song, and they would put it on the B side, and then they would say, no, we're not going to promote that one. We're going to promote this one, and that sort of thing.
Yeah. It's like, and then like you say, you're thankful that you just have an opportunity.
Yeah, and I was grateful.
Of course.
Because I was, you know, I didn't have another job. That
Yeah.
was the job, and I was living, you know, not necessarily great, but I did, you know, spend all the money.
You got to have
Yeah.
fun.
I had fun.
That's
yeah,
it.
And it was a great experience.
That's what you want.
But basically, I got offered acting jobs, so I did a couple of things in that area too. I
French
was,
films, or did they?
yeah. Well, that's a long story, but basically,
Of course.
yes.
I got you. We could talk
speaking
for
in
hours.
French,
I
yeah.
know. Yeah, I get you.
And I presented a TV show that was called Oh les Filles, and there were 3 of us, but they only one of them, they didn't let her talk. And I was this is when I sort of started to like really say, no, I'm not going to do that.
The pushback.
The pushback, you know, they wanted the opening shot of this show. It was a show that was every weekend, every Sunday. They were like during a summer, basically, and they wanted me to wear a bathing suit in the opening scene, and I said no. So I was the only one that didn't have a bathing suit on. Or
Good for you for standing up for yourself too, right?
yeah.
Like,
And
were you scared to take that stance?
not really, because I was doing quite well as a singer.
You had some
And I
confidence
had,
going now.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
had canceled, or I had like blocked my summer to do this show, which was also the time when you got the most gigs. So I was going to lose quite a lot of money as a singer. So I thought, you know, actually I know that I'm okay, that I don't need this show, right?
Yeah.
And
That's about the only way you can do that.
yeah, and there were things, you know, the way they talked about artists that I didn't like at all. And so I would be like standing up for
That's
the
right.
artists and all
Hell
that.
yeah.
But basically what happened was I hadn't signed a contract yet either. So I knew, and they were doing, I'm not sure why they were doing it, but I think so they could pay us less. So at one point I found out that they weren't going to give me what they promised. And I took a stand.
There it is.
And I said, if you're not going to pay me what you said that you're going to pay me to begin with, I'm walking off the show tomorrow. I'm done. And it was a very popular show. So
They couldn't. They were probably like, they couldn't believe no one's ever done that before.
no. And they said, oh, okay, we'll do it, but don't tell the other girls what you're getting. And I thought, what?
It's so greasy. Hey?
Yeah.
Ugh.
So I did tell them, but
course you
anyway,
did.
one of them didn't care because she really wanted a presenting career, you know. So, and the other one wanted to be a producer, so it didn't affect them as much. But I thought, I'm losing a lot of money doing this,
Yeah.
and it's kind of hokey. There's some hokey stuff going on here.
They must have really appreciated you telling them too, right?
Yeah,
Of course. Just
absolutely.
being a human being instead of, playing
Instead
into
of
all
slimy,
the. Exactly.
Yeah. And anyway, so that was another thing. I could go on.
There's so much, I know, and it's.
But anyway, at one point, I had a child. I had a partner, and I had a child with him, and he was growing up in the French language, and I was the only person speaking English with him. But French was kind of his mother tongue, because every time you'd be in a group of people, it
They'd
was
speak
hard
French.
to go say it all in English and then
All of it again.
again in French.
Yeah.
So I thought it would be, and we had split up, his
Yeah.
father and I. So I thought I would like to go to England. I would like to, so anyway.
Why not? You're in the area, hey?
I'm in the area. That's the thing that's great about Europe. Everything
It's
is
all there,
close.
yeah.
Yeah. So I ended up hanging out there for a bit, and I met somebody, and I got into a relationship with them, and so then I did move to England. And at that point, he was an actor, so I sort of took the back seat, and I started making jewelry and stuff like that. Anyway, it didn't really last that long. It lasted 3 years, and then
That's pretty long
yeah, I mean
nowadays.
and then I went back to singing basically. I met this guy who was a lawyer in the daytime, and he was a jazz player. So I did a bunch of gigs with him, and then that grew, and I knew more and more people, and so I started playing a lot more with some really good musicians. But I wasn't playing at this point. I still didn't know how to play the guitar.
So you're just
I'm
singing,
just singing,
doing your
and
thing.
I'm writing.
Okay.
I'm doing a lot of writing.
Things you want to be doing, though.
Yeah,
Yes.
which I did in France too, but in English.
Yes.
And I did try, but again, they didn't want me to sing.
Wouldn't let you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, God, I feel like I'm talking too much.
This is why you're here. Your story. See, most people that come through here for this 3-hall public house sort of spot, it's always, hey, here's what we're doing, sort of a little bit of a backstory, because, you know, some of them haven't been doing it for that long. And then we just sort of talk about, you know, where they're planning to go. But with you, all of your reasons why people should come see you are in your stories. You know what I mean? Like
I
this
hope
is this.
so.
Well, it's really cool, because after getting to know you and where you're coming from, then your songs have so much more impact, right?
Yeah.
So this is good. So you're not talking too much, is my point.
Okay. So I did that for a while, and then I went back to school, and I became an addictions counselor
In England?
in England. Yeah.
Jeez.
And I worked in psychiatric hospitals, and I sort of left the music behind for a bit because, first of all, when I was studying, I couldn't do both.
Yeah, it's too much.
Yeah, and I got it anyway. I worked in that industry, and one day I came back to Canada to visit my family, and ran into a childhood sweetheart, and I hadn't seen for like 40 years. Yeah. And the long story short, we
Long distance?
corresponded a bit, but we thought, okay, we're not getting any younger, either of us. And he was living on the Sunshine Coast at this point.
Oh, wow.
So I went from London to the Sunshine Coast to a cabin in the middle of nowhere. And because, you know, we were like, we've got to give this a shot, you know.
Yeah.
And so I was there for a bit, and then at one point he said, would you like to go and teach in China? He was a teacher. And so I did an online course, and this is to come back to something you were talking about at the beginning. So I was an ESL teacher, so English as a second language.
Yeah.
And so I was in classes then full of people who couldn't speak a word of English.
Oh, jeez. So
and
you flipped it right around.
that
So here
were-
we go. Yeah. So now you're the one teaching people how to get through a road that you had already traveled.
Yeah, yeah. And
That's how did it make it easier to teach them because
yeah.
you sort of went through that
I
struggle?
think so, yeah. I used music a lot.
Of course, yes.
When we first moved there, I didn't have the job, but somebody got fired and they knew my background, and so I got sort of put in on the deep end.
Jeez.
And because I'd worked in therapy and I'd worked in group therapy, having a group of students was
That's
actually,
easy.
yeah, anything that happens in your life, you can always use it somewhere.
That's it.
Right?
Oh, that's so true.
And that was really helpful that I had done the therapy before. Plus, knowing what it was like to learn, I speak Italian, French, and
All the places you went to, yeah, because you had to.
yeah,
Yeah.
and no, My Chinese is not great, but
Still, the fact you can say that you can speak a little bit of Chinese as well is
a little,
crazy.
yeah.
That's crazy.
But we had to in class we had to teach only in English. You couldn't go so
Couldn't do anything else.
no. And these kids, like, I got the lowest level of English in the school, so I had to be on. So it was like being on stage. So I brought the guitar in and would teach them songs with simple grammar
Like
things.
like Fred Penner.
Is that what Fred Penner
Oh
does?
yeah, Fred Penner. So his whole show was basically crawl through a log, and then he'd be like, "Hey, check this out." And he'd play his guitar, and he'd do all sorts of like fun little things to teach kids, about life.
Yeah.
So it's like a tool for your educating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if simple past, the song Bang Bang is all simple past. He shot me down, bang bang.
Yeah, okay.
I hit the ground.
Yeah.
So it helps them kind of think, oh, okay, this is simple past because
And it sticks in your head because it's something that you can repeat.
yeah.
Yeah.
So while I was doing that, I organized a kind of music club. First, writing songs, and then the second one was more to do with. Oh, I forgot. I skipped something. I forgot. I put out an album. So when I was still in England,
Of course.
right before I met my sweetheart,
Yeah.
I made a record. There was a guy who was from Saskatchewan who funded my album.
In England.
In England, yeah. His name is Guy Anderson, and he's got a career himself now.
Okay.
But at the time, he didn't yet, but he wanted to help musicians, so
Yeah.
he helped me.
And so that was your second album.
So that was the second album, actual album, and that was all in English.
English, which is what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, anyway, fast forward back to teaching. And so I had, I knew how to write a song, and I was teaching the kids how to do that in my classes, and also this group I had, and we had like a tea house. We called it the tea house. So where all the kids, and these are high school kids, so they want something special. They're all they're all bored at the school.
Okay.
So I'm kind of like their grandma or
Yeah, you're in charge.
their parents or their grandma or
Yeah.
something. And anyway, so I got to know a few of the really good musicians because of this club. And some of them went on to Berkeley, and I mean, they're music producers now, and like there's some amazing talent.
Careers started there with you.
Totally, nothing to do with me.
Well, hey, you say that, but I'm telling you, if you aren't teaching them a passion for something that you love so much, they're not going to have that passion. Like if you're not there showing them how cool it is to create stuff,
Yeah.
why would they want to?
Yeah, well.
So I'm just saying, don't
also-
sell yourself short.
Yeah, okay.
That's all I'm
Thanks.
saying. It's very cool that you sent them on their way to do a totally different journey, but at the same time, just like you, like to start from somewhere, go across the world, do all these things.
Just do it if
That's
it's in
it.
front of you.
Yeah.
I mean, because of the culture and the way a lot of them, their parents want them to,
Yeah.
be successful, and they want, as every parent does.
They don't want to see their
They don't
kids
want
chase
them-
dreams because it's so hard.
And especially a musician
Yeah.
job. So anyway, there was one guy who was my right-hand man for the time he was in high school, and then he went to university in Wisconsin to study to be an English teacher. But he was a really, really good musician. So every time he'd come back to China when he was done university, he would hang out, and I was working at this point in the library of the high school.
Oh.
And so we would hang out and we would play music, and then he would help with these music evenings that I
You would set up and
organized.
organize, yeah.
And he started recording some of my songs for me. And he was very clever with electronics, which I am not.
I know when you look around here, you would think I should be. I also am not. I'm every day learning how to work all of this stuff. It's just so above me.
Yeah.
I get it. I
Yeah.
get that feeling. Like it's so intimidating.
Yeah. Well, this is well
It's-
done.
oh.
Well done, you, because this is a really great
This
setup.
is nothing with me. That's the funny part. We have well, I guess he's 18 now, an 18-year-old kid that put all this together. He's my engineer. He's my everything. And without him, I could do nothing. So that's sort of the same
There
type
you
of
go.
thing. Exactly.
Young people are.
They know. They know.
Yeah. So anyway, he came here this summer and stayed for a month, and we did a lot of playing, around town kind of thing together, but in different figurations. But anyway, the reason he was here was to record some of my songs. So we did that, and he also mastered some stuff that we had done before, and one thing that I had done with Brian Paul, who was here at one point. But they're all my songs. Two of them are co-writes with other women. One of them is Leslie Stanwyck, who
Yes.
is a very wonderful musician.
Yes, I know that name.
Yeah. Tucker Lane is the band that they're in Saskatoon with Johnny Sinclair, her husband.
Yeah.
And they were in Pursuit of Happiness.
That's it. I know.
Yeah.
We played them on the radio in town here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're like,
Really good.
Yeah,
Really
very,
good.
very
And again, been able to keep doing it. Because a lot of people, you get big real quick, and then all of a sudden you got nothing, and that's it, and you sort of fizzle out. But they've been able to stay creating music, which is very cool and very, something you should acknowledge because it's so hard to do.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And anyway, I was lucky. I met her when we first got here, and she asked me. She said, "Do you have any lyrics hanging around?" And I'd like to write some songs, and that's my specialty.
That's
so
what you do.
Yeah, so I sent her some lyrics, and she sent me back some songs. So one of the songs that we wrote together is on this new album. It's called Nouns because it's sort of a little bit of a wink at my teaching.
Okay.
But it's also, most of the songs are either about people or places, or there's a couple that are about things, but.
It sounds to me like if there's anybody out there who has a lot of content to create into music or to create into anything, it would be you. Like, your journey is crazy.
And I've got a lot more songs, but I had to choose,
How hard is that? We don't talk about that enough. How hard is it to decide which one of your babies you want to put out there to the world?
It's hard. It's hard because you think, wow, I really like this one, but you want something. I mean, this album, every song is quite different. So I don't know. I hope people are okay with that, because that was one of the things that happened to me back in the day. I remember going to this record company, and this is when I was still in France, but I was looking at different possibilities. And I remember them saying, so these songs are too different. You can't put these songs on the same album. And I thought, why not? Why can't you?
It makes me so happy. It makes me so happy because at some point, if you are dedicated to doing something that you love and want to do, you have to say to someone, why not?
Yeah.
You have to explain, listen, it may work that way for everyone else. Why can't I be different? My whole thing has always been do exactly what no one else is doing, because that's how you stand out. If you can be different, people will acknowledge it.
Yeah.
And it's such a simple idea, but it's so powerful, because once you take a stance and you acknowledge it, then everyone else has to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if they don't, then get out of the way.
Yeah. Exactly. Well,
That's it. That's what this whole place is. That's what this whole place is.
I don't know if I thought that far into it, but yes, that's
That's
it.
I bet there's something down there, because like just us as human beings, we don't like being told what to do.
No, I don't.
It's the worst.
No.
Again, this whole place is because I don't like being told what to do. So I just went out, got all my best buddies, and said, we're going to do this.
It's great.
And everyone's, like at the start, everyone thought I was insane. Everyone thought I was crazy. And now we're sitting here and we continue to grow and we're doing all this great stuff because we said, why not?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah,
Such a
exactly.
powerful statement.
It is. I mean, in this case, I didn't really think about it. I just thought, okay, this song and that song. I mean, Simon is the name of the kid. The kid that helped me. I call him a kid. He's now in his 20s. But
Isn't that wild? Yeah. His name's Adam, but we call him LB around here.
Right.
My 18-year-old, I always say he's like an international spy or something because he also has his pilot's license. He has his scuba diving license, and he just finished building a canoe by hand.
Oh my God.
And he's 18 years old.
I know.
He built an entire content creation studio with his own bare hands, just him.
Wow.
Like, just to have these people to guide us. They're so important.
Yeah.
I'll speak for myself. I have no clue what I'm doing most of the time. And when you have someone to, like, bring you down from all the craziness up here and say, just this.
Yeah.
So
That's
good
the
to
creative
have.
thing, right?
That's it. A million ideas, but no execution.
Yeah.
That's me.
How do I follow that through? Oh, I give up.
Lots of that. There's lots of that, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
So Simon helps you get all this stuff. And now, where are we at today?
So today, I chose CD Baby as a distribution.
Good for you. I love CDs.
I had my the other album that I brought out, but the way I brought it out was really not very good timing because that was when I moved back to Canada and I didn't know anybody, etc.
Yeah. And you had no following or anything, right?
No.
Yeah. So it's
None.
tough to put out there without any buzz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that one I did also with CD Baby, but I couldn't remember for the life of me if I did it all on my own or if I did,
Oh, man.
how to do it. So as I said, I'm not that technically, I am technically challenged, but but I think I did it all right. We'll
Yeah.
see on December 1st.
There we go.
Because it's supposed to come out on December 1st
Okay.
on all the streaming platforms. Hopefully the picture will be there and everything. I don't know.
We'll find out when we get there, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
But I did order some CDs, even though people don't really buy CDs anymore. And I did get the CD and put it in. My husband has a stereo system that has everything, like vinyl,
Oh, yeah. It's like
cassette tapes,
whatever you want, it'll play it. I
CDs.
love those.
8 tracks.
All the way back. All the way. I love that. So you can play whatever you want anytime.
Yeah. So we listened to the CD, and I was very pleased with the sound of it and everything.
And that's, in the end, that's all that truly matters, right?
Yeah.
You have something you can be proud of, and hopefully other people like it.
Yeah. And just another thing about Simon, I don't know how he got into country music because grew up in China, and it's not that big country in China,
Yeah.
country music, but he loves country music. So there is, because he produced this album.
Put a little bit of his
there's
twist on there.
There is a lot of
Some twang.
little twang
Yeah.
in and around. But I guess the only thing that is the constant all the way through is me, my voice and my stories.
That's
right?
it. Man,
So-
we could do this forever. Like this
We could.
is, no, I'm overwhelmed because I really like to see stories and to see experiences through other people's eyes. And you have you're very talented in sort of painting that picture. I feel like I just went on that whole tour with you. And that's very cool.
Exhausting.
No, it's like mentally it sort of is because I just learned so much about you. But I think it's so cool and it's so fantastic. Now, real quick, we'll finish up with this. I always like to talk about how 3 Hall Public House and our friends in Bloom Entertainment are bringing music back to Broadway. With 3 Hall Public House doing the 6 to 9 p.m. Friday night unplugged open mic and then the show on Saturday night. Open mics. How important are open mics to music as a whole? As in like the music scene and getting to know people and all that stuff. 'Cause I imagine you played a lot of open mics on your journey to this sort of spot.
Yeah, I have. And I even organized some
There you go. So you get
when
it.
I was in London. Yeah. But I think they're important, especially, if somebody wants to practice playing in front of an audience.
Getting reps.
Yeah.
I say it all the time. Reps are the most important thing you could do if you want to chase a dream.
Yeah. And also but I would say even more important than that is how people organize an open mic.
Oh.
And that is very important because there's quite a few of them all
yeah.
over town. And,
Yeah.
and you know, they're all good. Like, it's good for, you know,
Everyone
it's
wins.
exposure, everybody wins. And it's free music for anyone who wants to come. And
That's very important nowadays.
but the organization of it is, I would say, the most important as to whether it attracts, you know, high quality of musicians and also patrons, like people who want to come and listen to live music. And so I feel I do need to give a shout out to Corey and Saul,
Yeah.
because they do such a good job.
Love those dudes.
I mean, it's a high quality venue, or they've made it into a high quality venue.
It's an experience.
Yeah.
And they took the reins. We've always said in this beautiful city of ours, someone needs to take charge. Someone just needs to, you know, start the rally cry, get something going, and get people wanting to be a part of it. And they're so good at doing that because they're so connected with all the different musicians.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, and I'm learning that as well, just by all the people coming through here. It's so cool to, you know, see music is still alive. Like, live music is still something you can enjoy in life.
And what's interesting is all of, you know, and again, with open mics, you get to hear people that you might not get, they might not get a gig somewhere else.
That's it.
You might not ever get to discover them because of it.
And it only takes one person person to say, man, I really like that band, to tell their friend, and then all of a sudden the snowball starts rolling.
Exactly.
It's a beautiful thing. I see you have a
I
bracelet here. So
I
this
have
is
a present for you.
this is amazing. Okay, tell me what this is.
So there's a song on, this is on my album, the last album, which the album was called Prairie Burn. And there's a song on there, it's about a duck.
Oh boy.
And I call the song Suicide Duck, because the short version of that story is when I was 17, I was driving in a car with my cousin, and the back window was open just a little bit, like about this much maybe. And we had, I know this is, I don't know if I can say this, we had just smoked a joint.
You can say that.
Okay.
I've said that a lot on
Okay,
this network.
Good.
Believe it or not, this entire building was built on THC. For 2 months, I was in a smoky haze, and all of a sudden, I got out of my smoky haze and got back to normal THC intake. And I looked in here, I was like, "Oh, how did this happen? Whoa!" So we talk about, like, THC is allowed around here, so you're good.
Anyway, a duck flew in the back window, and decapitated itself, and exploded in the back seat. And so,
And you wrote a song about that?
yeah. And so it's called Suicide Duck, and this is the bracelet that says Suicide Duck on it.
And this is merch that you sell?
Yeah, I actually the girl who makes them is gone off to university, so I've only got a few of them left. So yeah,
Get them while you can. So this is rare. This is a
it's a rare bracelet.
collectible. Perfect. Well, I love it. It's going to have a home here on the set. Again, we could talk for hours and hours. I just want to thank you, Patti, for stopping by here. Where can people find your stuff? Where can people go and get the CDs and bracelets and all that?
Well, we are going to be playing. I have to mention my band. I'm in 2 bands.
Here we go.
One band is a duo with my sister.
Oh, okay.
And it's called Wild Prairie.
Okay.
And the other band is more of a rock band, and it's called Patti and the Stack.
Patti and the Stack.
Yeah. And they're great musicians, and 2 of them played on this album, on a few of the songs. And my sister sang backup on a couple of the songs. So I thought, well, we'll kind of bring it together, and they very kindly said they would play with me.
Like both bands, I guess. Like
sort
your
of,
sister,
yeah.
It's so like a little super group.
Yeah.
Cool.
So Patti and the Stack will be playing on the 3rd of December. It's a Tuesday, at 3 Hall
Here we go.
Public House
Tuesday night.
Tuesday night, and that's thanks to Corey and Saul.
Yes.
And so it's just we're going to do an hour set of acoustic music that'll be a mixture of a couple of the old songs, and a few of the new ones.
Yeah.
And my sister will get up and do harmony on at least 3 songs, maybe 4. And
That's awesome.
yeah, so I hope everybody comes out to see us, and you have to get there early. We start the music at 7, but if you don't get there early, you won't get a seat. And
It's not a threat. That's just facts.
a reality.
Yeah, that's reality.
Yeah, and the food is great at 3 Hall.
Yes.
So
Everything. The experience is fantastic.
so come like before 6 and order some food and make it a
Enjoy
night.
yourself. There you go.
Anyway, so I'm very grateful to my band to
Of
be
course.
playing, because we play a lot of places around town, like Somewhere Else and Amigos.
Yeah,
And
all the great venues.
yeah.
I love it.
And we do usually mostly covers, but we also do some original songs, some of mine, some of Everett Van Olst is the guitar player, the lead guitar, and he's written a lot of songs too.
Do you have a website or anything people can go to?
You know what? I've got one. I have no idea how I set it up. I did it over COVID.
Of course.
Called pattilayne.net, Lane, Layne. But I don't go there very often. And,
So it hasn't been updated since COVID, and that's
no.
fine. It's something.
But that's one place you can go, and you can find Prairie Burn on all iTunes, Spotify, etc. You can actually find 2 of my French songs on Spotify, which
There
I
you
was
go.
quite surprised, and iTunes. So yeah, you can find the new album on any of the streaming platforms.
Just search it up and you'll find it.
Yeah.
Patti, thank you so much for this. This has been absolutely incredible. We've basically done a whole show. As I look at the clock, we've done a whole show. Normally these are about 5 to 10 minutes.
Oh, sorry.
No, this is incredible. So I just want to thank you for all of this, and I wish you best of luck. And I look very forward to talking to you again in the future and being friends now, because I feel like we became friends.
Yes, we did.
All right. Give me one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that was 3 Hall guests. So again, they'll be performing December 3rd. Sounds like it'll be an acoustic set, and acoustic sets are always awesome. So I said we would be having Gary on for a NFL update, but he is having some internet problems at the party, and so he will not be, because we don't want to have more Zoom problems and everything. So, with that, I'm going to try and do my best to give you an NFL update. I am not an NFL person at all. If you watch this show at all, you know I am a CFL guy. And so I don't really follow the NFL. So Google tells me that the Bears and the Lions played earlier today, and the Lions beat the Bears 23-20. The Giants and the Cowboys are currently playing, and it is the second quarter. The Cowboys are leading 13-7. And later today, we'll have the Packers and the Dolphins. So if you're an NFL fan, I hope that was helpful. Again, I'm not an NFL guy. So one of the things I wanted to do was I realized earlier that when we did the Maggie Cam, we never really talked about what the story of the Maggie Cam was. And I feel like it's kind of, interesting. So this is right before we launched the whole network. I think it was in April late April we launched the network. And this is, when I say it was before, I mean quite literally before. We were getting ready to go that afternoon before the show. And we had our cameras set up. We were getting ready to go. We were testing everything. We're gonna nail this. And we're like, we got this 4th camera sitting here. What can we do with this? And Maggie had her bed under the desk, and we're like, wait a minute, what's like the most popular thing on the internet? Cats, right? And what's the closest thing to a cat that we have? Maggie. So we set up the Maggie Cam. We texted our wonderful Royal Anders, who does all of our graphic design, and we said, how fast can you get us a Maggie Cam overlay? And he texts back an hour later, how does this work? And the only thing we've added to that is the sponsor by Pet Planet, which is now one of our longest running sponsors. So thank you to Pet Planet. And with that, we'd like to hit to another Maggie cam, because Maggie actually decided to hit her spot this time, a little bit late. Of course, she doesn't want to do it without Gary here. But she's locked in this time, or maybe she's just given up, hoping that I'm going to feed her or something, which she'll get it in about 10 minutes here. We'll see. So the Maggie Cam for our wonderful friends over at Pet Planet on 8th Street, your pet's natural grocer. So we're going to go ahead and hit some Frankie's fingers and get this episode of your show finished. So we can go ahead and hit Frankie's fingers. There we go. I got him in my ear. We were having problems with the monitor system lately, but I got it this time. So new episode of Bamford & Co. podcast yesterday dropping, talking about the market. Someone like me, not really into real estate. I mean, I'm aware of it, but it's not something that I really need to think about. And yet I still find the Bamford & Co. podcast very interesting. Great, lots of good information that I'm like, I need to remember this for when I'm actually going to be buying or selling or whatever I'm going to be doing. Great podcast. And tomorrow, the new episode of One Bad Podcast, One Bad Son podcast. Again, always great to listen to those guys. They have so many stories. And they seem to keep finding new stories to tell every time. They're like, I don't know if we have any more, and then they get talking and they're like, we're forgetting about so many. So yeah, check that out. Lots of great stories from there. Another thing I wanted to touch on, a bit of a PSA, if you will, public service announcement. Keep a shovel in your vehicle. It's winter in Saskatchewan, and you're going to get stuck, or people around you are going to get stuck. If you see somebody stuck, get out and help them. If you're able to, I'm going to put that caveat on there, get out and help them. Keep a shovel in your vehicle. It's so helpful. Even if, you're not going to be the one doing anything, maybe, you see somebody stuck, they can use the shovel and that gets them unstuck. Keep some spare mats in your vehicle too. That's great for putting under the tires to get them unstuck. But just a thing, keep a shovel. You can get the mini little foldable ones, whatever. Just be prepared. And slow it down as well. It's winter, as I said. Slow it down. Drive safe out there. Gary will be back tomorrow with the usual Friday mosh pit, whatever you want to call it. Friday is kind of the party day. Whoever's here wanders in and we have a great time. Thank you to what a little Double Dragon. That's the nickname. Thank you for producing today. And with that, karma is very real. Have a great day.